Welcome to part 6 of our live training session here with our supercharged LS Swap 944 Porsche. In the last few videos, we've learned the entire calibration process from start to finish. So base map creation all the way up to cold start, acceleration enrichment tuning, wide open throttle tuning. At this point, the vehicle is fully calibrated on 93 octane. We're now going to take a look at how to work with flex fuel based tuning. So we're going to be draining the 93 octane out of the fuel system, then going in putting ethanol in the fuel system with a flex fuel sensor, and then going in and learning how to calibrate the fuel and spark timing to account for the different ethanol blends that we might be running in our fuel system. We have a lot to cover. Let's jump in so we can check out working with our flex fuel tuning feature. Welcome back to our live training session here with our supercharged LS Swap 944 Porsche. Now in the last few videos, we've managed to calibrate everything on 93 octane. In this video, we're ready to take a look at doing the flex fuel tuning, putting ethanol in the fuel system and being able to work with compensation modifier tables so that we can correct the fuel delivery and the spark timing to the engine under wide open throttle, under cranking conditions, making sure that overall the engine is going to run properly no matter what kind of ethanol blend we put in the fuel system. That's really the beauty and the advantage of doing a flex fuel tune with a flex fuel sensor. There's a few things I want to talk about here before we do any actual pulls and taking a look at getting the engine up and running on the ethanol fuel. Now, first thing I want to talk about that I did not talk about, I believe in the flex fuel specific training tutorial video in the main training course. That's going to be how to integrate and wire in a flex fuel sensor properly. Now, when we were running it on pump gas, we saw that the flex fuel percentage here was roughly 16% as it was running. We know that we kind of had a baseline there. Now, what I found and what I discovered here is that the wiring actually wasn't right on the car, and I had to go back in and fix something. And that's going to be specific with a 10K or 10K ohm pull-up resistor that needs to go on the signal wire coming from the flex fuel sensor, and it needs to jump to a 5-volt reference, which is found on pin A26. So in this case, I've ran my flex fuel sensor on the signal wire to pin A3, and then I've ran a resistor. I just bridged the two wires. I skinned back the wire, bridged it, soldered it. We can see here in this picture, and I've added that pull-up resistor on. That made, it acts as an amplifier, and that made then the flex fuel sensor read about 13% when I corrected that before I put the ethanol fuel in the fuel system here for this video. Now we can see, and I just had the engine running here just a few minutes ago just to make sure everything was going to be okay. We can see right now the flex fuel percentage is showing 64% in the system, and that is accurate. If you do not put that 10K pull-up resistor, the 10K ohm pull-up resistor between the 5-volt reference and the signal wire coming in from the flex fuel sensor, you will not have accurate flex fuel reading, so that has to be done. Once I was finished with that, once I bridged the two wires with the resistor, I soldered it, I put heat shrink over top of it, and I heat shrinked it just to seal it off so it had some rigidity there so that that resistor wouldn't crack and break over time. So that's all taken care of. That's the first thing. The next thing I want to talk about here is getting the fuel out of the fuel system. Now this particular car is a returnless fuel system, which definitely isn't ideal. It should have a return line, but it doesn't. It has a returnless fuel system. Now in this situation, I had to go in and I had to get the pump gas out of the tank. The easiest way to do that is to go in and turn on the fuel pump so that the prime time takes anywhere from 80 to 100 seconds. And then when you turn the key on, you're able to prime the fuel system and let the fuel pumps run and pump out the fuel that's in the fuel tank. That's exactly what I did. I went into system preferences here, and I went into the engine parameters, and I went into fuel pump prime, and I changed that to 90 seconds. I then connected a fuel line to the feed line that's going to the fuel rail out in the engine bay. It's at number 6 line of -6. And I connected that, and I went to then a race gas can that was empty, and I simply primed the key on and I let it run out. I had to do that priming sequence probably 5 or 6 times until the tank was empty. Then I put in 10 gallons of ethanol fuel, and now what we're left with is about 64% ethanol down here. Now, we'd like to see it at least 70% and higher, and in fact 70-75% ethanol gives you the best NOx suppression, and as you go higher and higher in ethanol concentration, you don't get any further NOx suppression or any further benefits from running higher and higher ethanol concentrations. Now, you're certainly able to go up to 98% if you choose to do so, but again, there isn't any massive gains by doing that. So 70-75% is the sweet spot for tuning on ethanol and running your engine on ethanol, because you don't need as much fuel flow rate. As we increase the ethanol concentration, we need more and more fuel flow rate from the fuel system, which can be taxing and can cause some issues. So in this situation,
We're close to that ideal point, about 70. I was hoping to be 70, but there is some residual pump gas in the tank, and when I put in what was coming from the pump, which tested about 80%, I diluted it down, and now I'm left with about 64%. So now we have our baseline of where we're going to be starting off for this.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.